Mark, let me give you I told you this here, I think a week ago. Let me give you a dark horse team. I think you and I were talking on the phone when we brought this up. A dark horse, not team, but game.
Okay.
Early in the season, Northern Iowa travels to take on Nebraska. That I don't know when the last time that's happened. Maybe it's happened, and it's because it's normally Iowa or Iowa State. I don't know who else is on UNI's schedule. Of course, Iowa doesn't play them, but that is a dangerous game. And you and I both know that Iowa fans will be rooting heavily for the Panthers. But can you imagine if they lose that game to an FCS opponent? Very similar situation to, I would say, what we saw in 2016 with Iowa. I don't know what Nebraska's are they about 7.5 their over under prediction for the season for Vegas?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe not extreme as what happened in 2016, but that was a really good North Dakota State team that's physical up front. UNI is always really good up front. And I think that's a dangerous game for Huskerland.
Yeah, that's a good call. We shall see. It's funny that you're picking that as a under the radar game.
Well,
Because
it's also I was gonna say real quick, it's also the week after the game against Colorado.
Yeah.
It's in a very tricky spot because it's between that game and the start of Big Ten play. If I'm playing an FCS opponent, Mark, I'd rather get them week one, like Iowa did with South Dakota State 2 years ago. Oh, and by the way, when Iowa lost to North Dakota State in 2016, that game was about 3 weeks into the season. It was not a season opening game. I think that's I don't know the data behind that, but I would just think, especially given the makeup of the schedule, I'd rather if I'm a Nebraska fan, I'd rather play UTEP week 3 and get. And I don't know anything about UTEP.
They're awful.
Okay, well, I'd rather play UTEP because I'm guessing if you had UTEP and Northern Iowa match up against one another, I would guess that'd be a very close game.
Yeah. UTEP fired its coach. They went 3-9 last year, and that's pretty much their history. They go 3-9 every year. That's pretty much what they do.
So you're telling me you're not going to be launching a UTEP at the Voice of College Football channel?
Probably
right?
not. I did put them in my program rankings, though. They were down around 128, 129. When is the last time, because I've seen these lists pertaining to Big Ten schools, when is the last time Iowa lost to a group of 5 team?
That's a great question. I could figure that out if you give me a minute. Last time they lost to a G5 team. Well, yeah, I mean, what comes to my mind is the loss to the FCS. So I don't know. 2016, 2015, 2014, almost lost to Ball State in 2014. Needed a heroic comeback to win that game. 2013 was a battle against. They lost to Northern Illinois, didn't they, in like 2011 or 12?
That sounds right.
I believe that might be the last time, and that was at the game at Soldier Field. And was that a Jordan Lynch game? I'm throwing stuff out there. I don't know 100% that I'm right. Jackson says Northern Illinois in 13. I thought they won that game in 13. So maybe they lost in 13 and then won in 14. And I'm guessing 13 was at Soldier Field. In 14 was in Iowa City. I guess that could be right. Maybe I'm a year behind. Connor brings up they did have a loss way back when against Central Michigan. What are we looking at here? 2014.
There's 2013, lost to Northern Illinois, who was a 12-2 football team that year, 30-27.
And that was, it doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure that game was at Soldier Field. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, because it would say that this site.
Okay,
states if it's
that must have been the game I was at that game, and I believe Iowa lost on a field goal. So 30-27. So I think that was. I remember that game. I was in the north end zone before the north end zone was built up to what it is now. And Iowa just completely squandered that thing. That was a disgrace. Total disgrace, Mark. That was a good, hey, you talk about best linebacking cores of the Kirk era. That was at least a top 5, maybe top 3. That was Kirksey, Hitchens, and Morris. That was a really good group of linebackers. Very, very reminiscent, I think, of the athleticism you have in the room this year with Jackson and with Higgins and Kyler Fisher. Obviously, got the groups with Jewell and Bauer and Cole Fisher, and then the group with Campbell, Benson, those guys. That'd be a great discussion. We haven't done that. We've ranked all-time players, Mark, but all-time units would be a fun off-season topic. We'll have to come back to that in 25.